My dear students, today we are going to study a new chapter. It is working of institutions. In the previous classes, we have already studied about different institutions like legislative, executive, and judiciary. Legislative means it is a body of elected members in the legislative assembly of a particular state, or a body of elected members to parliament. So in this chapter we are studying about the manner in which the decisions are taken by the government. We already know that a major decision cannot be taken by the government at a morning, but the decision will be taken after a long discussion, deliberations and debate. So let's move into such an example. It is a government order. In your textbook, you have to study a story of a government order. That government order was actually an office memorandum. Office memorandum means a communication issued by an appropriate authority stating the policy or the decision of government. It is a communication forwarded by the officers to the people. So we can study the story of a government order. That government order was issued on August 13, 1990. It was a simple order that was signed by an officer from the Department of Personnel and Training in the Ministry of Personnel. We already know that a single officer cannot issue such an order, but this officer is acting on the advice from the higher level. Actually, this order was only one-page order, but that one-page order became a great controversial issue all over India. The order became controversial because it included a special order that 27% of the total vacancies in the civil posts and services under the government of India are reserved for socially and educationally backward classes. The reservation facility was only given to scheduled caste and scheduled tribe. According to this order, that reservation facility will also be given to socially and educationally backward classes. As I already told you, this officer from the Department of Personnel and Training cannot take a decision and cannot issue an order on himself. But the order may have gone through different steps and at last it reached the hands of an officer and he signed that order. We are going to check who actually played an important role in taking such a great decision in this order. We already studied about president. He is the head of state and is the highest formal authority in the country. And we already studied about the prime minister. He is actually the head of government and he exercises all kinds of government powers and he take decision in the cabinet meeting of ministers. And we also studied that parliament includes two houses. First one Rajya Sabha, another one is Lok Sabha. The prime minister came into power when the majority of Lok Sabha members support him. We have got some agencies. First one, President, second, Prime Minister, and third Parliament. So we understood that these three agencies have played an important role in the decision making of that order. An officer cannot simply take a decision in an order. If we go back to the history of this order, we can understand that the government of India appointed a commission, namely the Second Backward Classes Commission. The Second Backward Classes Commission was headed by B.P. Mandal. That is why this commission was also called Mandal Commission. And what was the duty of this commission? It was the duty of this commission to determine the criteria to identify the socially and educationally backward people and recommend the step to improve the condition. And in 1980, the commission submitted the report, and according to that report, the commission suggested that 27% of the government job should be reserved for socially and educationally backward people. This report was thoroughly discussed in the Parliament. In this story, we have understood that Government of India actually appointed a commission. Then the Government of India has played an important role. Secondly, the report was very clearly discussed in the Parliament. So Parliament is a part of legislature. It also played an important role. After the Parliament discussion, several years, political parties and high officials raised their voices for implementing these recommendations. At last, during the time of election in 1989, Janata Party under V.P. Singh promised to the people that if we came into power after election, we will implement the recommendations of Mandal Commission. Then automatically the people voted for him and his party, and after the election, V.P. Singh and Janata Party came into power, and V.P. Singh became the Prime Minister of India. When V.P. Singh take a decision to implement the recommendation in India, he discussed the matter with the President of India, and the President of India addressed the Parliament, and he announced the intention of government to implement the recommendation of Mandal Commission. What was the recommendation? To reserve the 27% of the total government jobs to the socially and educationally backward people. After V.P. Singh and Janata came into power in India, he made a discussion with the President of India, and the President addressed the Parliament and announced the intention of the government of V.P. Singh to implement the recommendations of Mandal Commission. What was the recommendation? That 27% of the total government job should be reserved for socially and educationally backward people. And after announcement, the Cabinet Ministry also discussed about this matter, and the Prime Minister addressed both houses, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Later, the decision of this Cabinet of Ministers was passed to the Department of Personnel and Training, and the senior officers of the Department of Personnel and Training signed in that statement, and they issued an order, and it was issued on 13 August 1990. And after the issuing of this order, the order became very controversial because the 27% of the total government jobs is going to be reserved for the socially and educationally backward people. The people were different in their opinions regarding this order. Some supported and said that this order will help socially and educationally backward people attain great jobs and enjoy high opportunities. While others opposed this order and they said that this order is actually against the equality of opportunity in India, because if the 27% of the total government jobs reserved for this group, the other communities will not get sufficient share in the government jobs. And some others argued that this order will help the caste system to continue in India. And after long years of deliberations and discussions and controversy, some people filed a case against this order. At that time, both Supreme Court and High Court intervened in this issue. So we can say that the judiciary also played an important role in taking the decision. And according to Supreme Court order's verdict was that this order is valid, but this order should be modified in such a manner that even though 27% of the socially and educationally backward people are getting reservation in government jobs, financially well-off people should be exempted from this reservation category. And according to that, the senior officers of the Department of Personnel and Training modified that order. From this lesson we have understood one thing, that an officer and a single officer or Prime Minister cannot take a decision, but a lot of persons will take part in decision making. According to this order, firstly, the Government of India appointed a commission. Then the Government of India and Commission took their part. And next, the Parliament discussed the issue. Then Parliament also took part in this order. And next, the government addressed both Houses of Parliament. When both Houses of Parliament took part in the issue. And the Cabinet Ministry discussed on this issue and took a decision. So the executive, including Prime Minister and the Cabinet of Ministers, took part in this decision making. This decision went into the hands of the officers in the Department of Personnel and Training. Then the officers, it means bureaucracy, also took part in this decision. At last it became controversial, and Supreme Court intervened in this issue. Supreme Court make a verdict that this order is valid, but it should be modified. So Supreme Court, the judiciary also took part in this decision making. So here we can see three group of people have took part in decision making. First, legislature. For example, Parliament, both Houses of Parliament, both Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. And executive. Executive means both Prime Minister and his Cabinet of Ministers. And third, judiciary. It includes both Supreme Court and High Court. So I hope you have understood the concept very clearly. It can be concluded that legislative, executive and judiciary will play an important role in the decision making of the government. Legislative means parliament and executive means Prime Minister and his cabinet ministers, and judiciary means Supreme Court and High Court. So I hope you have understood the role of these three institutions in the decision making of the government.